After 4 years, President Biden has now publicly acknowledged Hunter Biden's daughter, Navy, as his 7th grandchild. It's the very first time. In a statement to People magazine, the president said, and this is a quote, "Our son Hunter and Navy's mother are working together to foster a relationship that is in the best interest of their daughter. This is not a political issue. It's a family matter. Jill and I only want what is best for all of our grandchildren, including Navy." Criticism from Republicans and others coming after that statement. Watch.
But of course, when it comes to family, we always want to keep that private. That's fine. But when you go and you talk about family values and you talk about all of that, it's odd that he wouldn't acknowledge one of his grandchildren.
I want you to know, I know how many grandchildren I have. I have 7.
And even the mainstream media have lost patience with the president. Watch this heated exchange on a competitor.
Why now for the Bidens? And honestly, why did it take them so long?
Well, 2 things. First of all, I respect you as a journalist for having to ask the question, but it is a very gross and uncomfortable subject to talk about as it is.
Well, let's not call a little girl gross.
Okay? No. I'm talking about the intersanctum of a family and the privacy of what goes on in a family. And you're right, that little girl, she should not be weaponized by the Republicans.
It's not Republicans, with all due respect, who made Hunter Biden into a complete scumbag on this and other issues.
Mary Katharine Ham was way ahead of all of this. Here's what she wrote a month ago. "We need to talk about the daughter, the Bidens reject. It's time to talk about Hunter Biden's child custody case." Mary Katharine Ham, OutKick columnist, is in focus now. So, Mary Katharine, first of all, this has evolved now a little bit with the president acknowledging Navy. Your top line thoughts?
Well, a couple things. That was a Friday night news dump during the summer, which is the least amount of news coverage you're possibly going to get for acknowledging the granddaughter that you have not in the past. Second, when they say this is a private matter, the reason that this became public, and I followed it for a while before I wrote that column, is that Hunter Biden went to court proactively, paying much money, many thousands of dollars to lawyers, and taking many private jet excursions to Arkansas to fight the mother of his child, who we knew we had DNA that was his child, to deny her child support. He was fighting this really hard in court. That's how it became a story. And it does seem to me that this is an unforced error from the Bidens. The Bidens could have easily from the beginning said, I know that this is a little bit complicated, but we welcome all children. She's a gift to us. That was not what they did. For 3 years, they didn't deal with this, even though we knew that she definitely was Hunter Biden's child. This was not a question. And this is one of those, am I taking crazy pill moments for me with the press, where I was looking around like, is no one going to talk about this? Because I feel like this is verified and maybe we should talk about it. So I'm glad that they've come to this conclusion, but it's not in the most elegant way possible, to say the least.
Well, and when you saw what we showed on the competing station, and you hear one of their commentators saying, "Oh, it's gross to try to cover the family," what in the world was he talking about? I mean,
well, this is the trick, right? Is that Hunter Biden does something that is patently terrible, which is to deny your own child, and even when you have proof that she is yours. And we are then told that we're impolite for noticing that he did this patently terrible thing, and that the Bidens, by extension, have participated in it. I don't accept that. If it's terrible on its face, I'm allowed to talk about it. They did this also with the late Senator Ted Kennedy. It was impolite to mention Chappaquiddick and mention that he left this woman in a car to drown. I don't think that's impolite. I think it was impolite that she got left in the car.
Wow. The big question will be why now? Desperation, decency, if you've seen that polling and where particularly women were on that issue, that may have driven it, but we don't know. A big backlash after House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan revealed what he calls smoking gun Facebook files. A series of tweets, Jordan says, prove Facebook censored Americans' Facebook and Instagram posts. And that social media companies like Facebook face tremendous pressure from the Biden White House. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey.
What this shows is that not only did he coerce and collude with big tech social media, but he actually pushed them further than their own internal censorship policies. This clearly establishes that they understood, that big tech social media understood that the federal government was making demands and was pushing them beyond the bounds of their own internal policies and memorandum.
An op-ed is calling it the administration's assault on free speech, arguing, quote, our government has established a vast system of censorship. This is a shocking constitutional violation. Mary Katharine.
Yeah, so what's going on here is that not only is the government involved in censoring what they call disinformation, which, by the way, I don't accept that they actually know what's disinformation and misinformation, since during COVID especially, we learned over and over again that they don't actually know the truth, or they're trying to obscure the truth, and we're not allowed to have a discussion about it. Second, the press is backing them up. One of these discussions between Facebook executives is saying, hey, we're getting a lot of pressure from the White House and the press to censor vaccine discouraging information. That doesn't mean misinformation. That means truthful information that they thought was inappropriate. So first of all, it's okay to pass on things that aren't true. That is covered under free speech. It certainly should be well within bounds to pass on truthful things. But the press and the White House combined with social media to form this very powerful censorship that kept us from having, frankly, a lot of rational discussion about COVID policies and hurt public health in the end.
Yeah, you know, and it wasn't just the information that they were making calls on. It was our questions as journalists. I mean, that vaccination, discouraging wording that they were accusing us of. This is America. We can all ask questions. And as we learned more, of course, we're going to ask questions. Mary Katharine Ham, I hope you'll come back soon. It was great to see you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.